Salamu kwa wote, mwebale muno. I congratulate all Ugandans on this 62nd anniversary of Uganda's independence. As I've told you many times, at Uganda's independence, our economy was a typical colonial one, characterized by being an enclave, meaning island economy of 3 C's and 3 T's, as was being described by the colonialists themselves. The 3 C's were coffee, cotton, and copper, and the 3 T's were tobacco, tea, and tourism. These formed a small island of modernity and money economy, surrounded by a sea of no money, subsistence economic activities, underdevelopment, and poverty. By 1962, only 9% of the homesteads were in the money economy, which means that a whole 91% were outside the money economy. Being outside the money economy meant poor housing, no education for the children, no clean water, poor nutrition, poor health, and poverty. On account of the wrong ideology of the politics of identity, tribes, religion, and gender chauvinism, the country was divided and unstable. This instability caused the constitutional crisis of 1966 and the Idi Amin coup of 1971. When the ignorant Idi Amin came into government, he expelled one element of our entrepreneurial class, the Asians. And by 1986, when the NRM came to power, the small colonial enclave of the 3 C's and 3 T's had collapsed. Only coffee and tobacco were still limping on. The whole economy had been informalized into magendo, smuggling, chibanda, foreign currency black market, and kusamra, speculation. There were acute shortages of the so-called essential commodities. These were sugar, salt, paraffin, soap, textiles, human and veterinary drugs, etc. All these were being smuggled into the country because all the factories and all the former channels of importation had collapsed. Fortunately, having been in the resistance struggle since the 1960s, by this time we had distilled the 3 historical missions which we thought were the mission of the African freedom fighters. These were prosperity, strategic security, and using the brotherhood of the African people to achieve the 2. The question was, and it still is, did Africans need and deserve prosperity and affluence just like other people in some few places in the world were enjoying by that time, or not? Swala lilikuwa Mwafrika anastahili kuwa na maisha mazuri, maisha ya utajiri, au ni lazima abaki kwenye umaskini? Hili lilikuwa swala la kwanza. wakati tulikuwa tunaangalia maneno yetu ya hapa. By 1960, the affluence was only in Western Europe, North America, and Japan. Mwaka 1960, sehemu 3 za dunia peke yake ndizo zilikuwa na maisha ya utajiri. Europe Magharibi, North America na Japan. Wengine wote walikuwa kwenye umaskini wakati huo. The rest of the world was in poverty. Our answer to that question was yes, the Africans needed and deserved prosperity and affluence, just like those mentioned above had achieved. Then the next question was, where then does prosperity come from? Utajiri unatoka wapi? Can it come from begging? Omba inaweza kuletea utajiri kama nchi au mtu binafsi? The answer was no. Prosperity and affluence can only come from producing a good or a service with a chibaro, ensuring maximum returns, and selling those items sustainably. Jibu letu lilikuwa kwamba utajiri unatokana na kila mtu mzima kushiriki kwenye kuzalisha bidhaa au huduma na kuuza hizo bidhaa na watu kukulipa kwa huduma yako ambayo umewatolea. Then the next question was, who will buy the goods or the services you produce? Kama ukisha tengeneza bidhaa au uko na huduma, watu gani ambao watanunua bidhaa hizo? Soko iko wapi ya bidhaa na huduma unayotoa? This is when our search for prosperity and affluence brought us into collision with the prevailing pseudo-ideology of that time in Uganda and many parts of the world. This was the ideology and the politics of highlighting the importance of identity of tribes, religion, and gender chauvinism. Kawa inanisaidia kwa throat. This was the ideology and the politics of highlighting the importance of identity of tribes, religion, and gender chauvinism. We discovered that in the case of Uganda, people of the same tribe or locality tend to produce similar products and therefore cannot easily buy from one another. Therefore, it was clear that in the case of Uganda, once a zone produced goods and services, the next assistance to the effort of wealth and affluence creation would come from other zones of Uganda, most probably other tribes of Uganda, in the form of buying what was produced. That is how Uganda, as a country, became very crucial for the wealth creation of the different zones. Wakati nilikuwa nakuja hapa, nisimama hapa karibu kwa makazi ya mwananchi pale karibu, na niliuliza watu ambao walikuwa pale wanafanya kazi gani. Watu kama wawili waliniambia kwamba wanafanya biashara ya kuuza mazao. Alafu niliwauliza, mazao mnayotoa wapi? Hapa. Waliniambia kwamba wanatoa mazao Kamwenje. Wanakwenda Kamwenje, wanatoa huko maharagwe, wanakuja wanauza Wakenya huko. Sasa hii ndiyo siasa ya NRM. Kuzalisha mali, alafu kuuza hiyo mali kwa ndani ya Uganda na kwa Afrika nzima. Kama unaelewa hilo, huu uhusiano huweza kuwa kwenye mambo ya ukabila, mambo ya dini, mambo ya kudharau wanawake na watoto na vijana. Hayo yote ni madhambi ya wanyonyaji. Ndio wanaamini mambo hayo, kwa sababu huyu mtu wa hapa nusu kilomita hapa, nilisimama hapo, utajiri wake unatoka Kamwenje, ndio anatoa maharage. Kwa hiyo watu wa Kamwenje wanamsaidia kibiashara, alafu na yeye anawasaidia kwa sababu anafikisha bidhaa zao, mazao yao kwenye soko la Kenya. That is where prosperity comes from. Prosperity comes from producing a good or a service and selling it. And whoever buys it is contributing to your prosperity. And you are also contributing to his prosperity. We discovered that in the case of Uganda, people of the same tribe or locality tend to produce similar products and therefore cannot easily buy from one another. Therefore, it was clear that in the case of Uganda, once a zone produced goods and services, the next assistance to the effort of wealth and affluence creation would come from other zones of Uganda, most probably other tribes of Uganda, in the form of buying what was produced. That is how Uganda, as a country, became very crucial for wealth creation of the different zones. All the zones, all the tribes, all the religions, all the gender groups of Uganda needed Uganda for their prosperity and affluence. That is how we distilled the first ideological principle of the NRM, patriotism. Love Uganda. Why? It is because you need it for your prosperity. Ndio sababu jambo letu la kwanza kisiasa ni jambo la uzalendo. Lazima upende Uganda.